Ladies and gentlemen, from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice, Deacon Gerald Celente.
Hello, everyone. This is Deacon Gerald Celente from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. And I am a warrior for the Prince of Peace. And we're going to have a Peace and Freedom rally up here in Kingston, New York on September 28th on the Four Corners of Freedom, Crown and John Street. And so far, two of the speakers are going to be Scott Ritter and Judge Andrew Napolitano. So I just don't talk about peace. I try to do everything to bring peace on earth, goodwill to all. Because World War III has begun, and they just keep escalating it. So we need to stop it before we're annihilated in nuclear war. The Israel war. I was going through some back articles, and I found this exclusive. Netanyahu says, don't get hung up on peace with Palestinians. Don't get hung up on peace with Palestinians. You know when he said this? This is from CNN, January 31st, 2023. He just got into office, right? Yeah. What they call an extreme right-wing government. When did Hamas attack? October. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 9 months later. We wrote in the Trends Journal the atrocities that were being committed against the Palestinians in the West Bank by the Israeli government. And we were writing how Netanyahu tried to pass his Judicial Reform Act, which basically said that the charges that he was being brought up on, he wouldn't have to go to jail for. There were thousands and thousands of people taking to the streets for 39 weeks before Hamas attacked. So here's the article from CNN. Israel's Prime Minister, Netanyahu, said people can get, quote, hung up on peace negotiations with Palestinians, saying he's opted for a different approach. The Israeli Prime Minister emphasized in a joint appearance with Blinken on Monday, that's Tony Blinken, who's been a total supporter of Israel war. When after Hamas attacked, Blinken went and met Netanyahu in Israel and said, I come here as a Jew and the Secretary of State of the United States. I don't care what religion you are. How about coming as an American? No, I'm coming as a Jew, he said. That Antony Blinken, the lying Antony Blinken. And we'll get to his lies in a bit. The Israeli Prime Minister, in a joint appearance with Blinken on Monday, said that Israel was a strong democracy. He made a point of repeating that Israel and the United States were, quote, two strong democracies. Netanyahu, meanwhile, continues to face charges on 3 separate cases in a long-running corruption trial that has dogged him politically. The trial began on May 2020. But has been beset with delays. Yeah. As I said, when all else fails, they take you to war. And that's what Netanyahu did. His comments came after a month after Netanyahu's dramatic comeback as Israel's prime minister late last year, meaning late in 2022. But his government, remember, this is from CNN, which has been described as the most right-wing in the country's history, has already faced internal tensions and widespread public protests. Ongoing demonstrations against Netanyahu's government and its planned judicial reforms have drawn tens of thousands of Israelis to the country's streets in January. Again, 39 weeks of protest, massive, that Isaac Herzog, the president of Israel, called, as these kept expanding, a civil war. And as for the lie of Israel being a true democracy, how about this? This is from Vox, July 31st, 2018. Israel's controversial nation-state law explained. Israel passed a controversial new nation-state law last week that's sparking both celebration and fierce debate over the very future of Israel itself. The law does three big things. Number one, it states that, quote, the right to exercise national self-determination in Israel, you ready, is unique to the Jewish people. That is not a democracy. That is an apartheid state by definition. Oh, the Jewish people count more than anybody else. Oh, I forgot. It says in the Torah, what is it? Chapter 6, section 8, that they're the chosen people. Which Naomi Wolf, by the way, a Jewish person, said, no, that's a lie about the chosen people. It's not about ethnicity. It's not about the Israelis, she said. It's about living up to the standards of the God that you're supposed to believe in. That's the chosen people. It's an apartheid state. Number two, it establishes Hebrew as Israel's official language and downgrades Arabic. It establishes, quote, a Jewish settlement as a national value and mandates that the state, quote, will labor to encourage and promote its establishment and development, meaning stealing more land. Oh, God gave us this land. I forgot. How about if I don't believe in your God? I'm not telling you to believe in the God of the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. Don't you tell me I have to believe in your God. I don't believe in your God. How about that? Oh, will you kill me for that? No. You rob me of my rights if I come to Israel because I'm not Jewish. It's not a democracy. So all of these politicians that are saying it's a democracy are liars by the definition. Yep. Each of these statements would be contentious on its own. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right government backed the legislation and was overjoyed at the law's passing. Netanyahu lauded the law as, quote, a defining moment in the history of the state. But for Israeli Arabs, who make up 1/5 of Israel's 9 million citizens, the new law was a slap in the face. When the law passed, Arab parliamentary members ripped up copies of the bill and shouted apartheid on the floor of the Knesset. That's Israel's parliament. Yep. Aman Ada the leader of a coalition of primarily Arab parties currently in opposition, said in a statement that Israel, quote, had passed the law of Jewish supremacy and told us that we will always be second-class citizens. Palestinians, liberal American Jews, and many Israelis also denounced the law as racist and undemocratic. Yohanan Plesner, the head of the nonpartisan Jerusalem-based Israel Democracy Institute, called the new law, quote, jingoistic and divisive and an unnecessary embarrassment to Israel. It goes on. Not a democracy. And talking about the lies, this is from BBC. Gaza ceasefire plan in balance as U.S. says Hamas proposed changes. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has told the Hamas that is, quote, time for haggling to stop. He told reporters some changes were workable, others were not. He went on that the Israel government did not comment, but anonymous officials said the Palestinian armed group's response amounted to rejection. So they didn't comment, but they said Hamas rejected it. Remember, this is BBC. Israel's prime minister has not yet publicly endorsed the proposal. That's right. But lying Blinken said Netanyahu had reaffirmed his commitment. Well, that's a lie. It says right here that they have not endorsed the proposal. Hamas seeks, quote, a complete halt to the war. A complete halt to the war. Negotiations stuck on Hamas demand for Israeli upfront commitment to permanent truce. That's from the Times of Israel, June 13th. Hamas is seeking to change the terms of the proposed hostage deal and ceasefire deal with Israel by pushing forward a full Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza, insisting that it be a clear end to the war. That sounds pretty reasonable. The primary issue complicating negotiations is that Hamas is demanding an Israeli guarantee up front that it will agree to a permanent ceasefire. Sounds reasonable. But again, this was the headline. Gaza ceasefire plan in balance as U.S. says Hamas proposed changes. So, a Hamas official got on Al Arabi TV on June 12th and denied that they presented new ideas for a Gaza truce deal. Senior Hamas official, this is from Middle East Monitor. Senior Hamas official Osama Hamdan denied on Wednesday that the Palestinian group had put forward new ideas for the U.S.-backed proposal for a Gaza ceasefire after U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that they made changes. He said Blinken was, quote, part of the problem, not a solution in the Gaza war. Blinken has said that Hamas had suggested many changes, some unworkable. And Hamdan said, quote, in everything we presented, we affirmed our commitment to what was presented on May 5th. Oh, May? And now we're past June 5th, over a month. To the mediators, and we did not talk about any new ideas of proposals. He reiterated Hamas's stance that it was Israel that was rejecting proposals and accused the U.S. administration of going along with its close ally, quote, to evade any commitment to a blueprint for a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Also, on June 12th, Hamas official Taha al-Nunu, well, I don't pronounce it, N-U-N-U, accused Blinken of bias. He lacks neutrality. He lacks handedness. He operates in a double standard. He's trying to portray the Palestinian resistance as if it was a party obstructing the deal. He said Hamas accepted the proposal presented by Qatar and Egypt on May 6th. All right? Total lie. Hamas rebuffs Blinken blame for elusive ceasefire. One article after another. It's said in contrast, while Blinken continues to talk about Israel's approval of the latest proposal, we have not heard any Israeli official voicing approval. Israel will not discuss Hamas changes to ceasefire hostage deal, senior officials says. This is from Haaretz. Despite Israel's official position, views Hamas' response as a rejection of the outline, Jerusalem will continue, that goes on. Israel says that the changes made by Hamas are not acceptable. Again, Hamas made no changes. And as we'd warned, when all else fails, they take you to war. Netanyahu's failing, and he's ramping up the war. We said he would do it, and they did it. Bombs away over Lebanon, killing the chief Hezbollah commander. And in response, Hezbollah is fighting back. Hezbollah launched some 215 rockets and several more missiles and drones at northern Israel on Wednesday. In what it says was a response to the killing of a senior commander, they call it in a terror group, by an Israeli airstrike a night earlier. A terror group that drove the murderous Israeli invaders out of Lebanon. Israel invaded Lebanon, and the people of Lebanon under Hezbollah fought to push the Israelis out of Lebanon, and they are called a terrorist group. Just like the United States goes into Iraq, into Syria, into Afghanistan, and the people that fight against the invaders are called militants and terrorists. That's the language that they use. Yep. Hezbollah launched, The terror group vowed to ramp up its attacks in retaliation for Israel's elimination of top commander. At a funeral procession in Beirut, senior Hezbollah official said the group would increase its intensity. Quote, if the enemy is screaming and moaning about what happened in northern Palestine, let him prepare to cry and wail. They're ramping up the war. Hezbollah has named 342 members who have been killed by Israel during the ongoing scrimmages. Oh, this is from Times of Israel. Yeah. You're not allowed to fight back. Israel could kill anybody they want, just like the United States can. No mention of peace. No mention of peace. Musk just got what? $56 billion? Not a penny for peace. Bezos, not a penny for peace. Buffett, not a penny for peace. Gates, not a penny for peace. We need your support. We need a 1 million-person march to bring peace on earth. This is just the beginning of what's going to happen. If we don't stop it, we're going to be annihilated. Nuclear war. Again, September 28th. Four Corners of Freedom, John and Crown Street in Kingston, New York. All right? I'm angry. He who's not angry when it's just cause for anger is immoral. Why? Because anger looks to the good of justice. Freedom, peace, and justice. I'm the deacon of the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. Because anger looks to the good of justice. Justice has been robbed from us. And if you could live amid injustice without anger, you are immoral as well as unjust, said St. Thomas Aquinas. Yeah. For all you people that call yourself Christians, that have lockjaw about peace. Oh, and all you evangelical Christians that want to see the end of life. So Jesus, savior garbage. You don't believe in the Christ who was a warrior for the Prince of Peace, that was a warrior for peace. And I'm a warrior for the Prince of Peace. Yep. A nuclear war with the United States is more likely than ever. You know, and this was reported by Reuters, March 2023. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister said on Wednesday that the risk of a nuclear clash was at its highest level in decades, warning that Moscow was in a de facto open conflict with Washington over the war in Ukraine. Yep. March 2023. This is serious. Again, Israel's just ramping up this war. It's going to keep escalating in Ukraine, escalating in Israel, and there's going to be a false flag event that's going to make it, quote, World War III legitimate. And just like 90% of the people marched off to little George Bush's war on terror, we're going to get that guy Osama bin Laden dead or alive. The longest war in American history in Afghanistan that America lost. 90% of the people believed it. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to march off to war if we don't have peace. So it's up to you to make it happen. Up to you. And there have been a number of very, very generous people that have donated. But we need a lot more. A lot more. So donate to occupypeace.com or the church, freedom, peace, and justice. Again, freedom has been robbed from us. This is the cover of this week's Trends Journal magazine. USSA, United Soviet States of America, freedom, FU, political parasites in charge. Not a word about peace, only war. Banned from the media for speaking about peace. By the way, one of my books, What Zitzi Gave Honey Boy, a true story about love, wisdom, and the soul of America that used to exist. Doris Roberts, the woman who played the mother of, on that show, Everyone Loves Raymond, her last starring role was playing my Aunt Zitzi, may her soul rest in peace, as well as Doris Roberts. Doris Roberts died 15 minutes into the movie. You go to YouTube, you can see the short clip. You don't even have to see the pay for the 15-minute movie if you don't want to. It opens up with me getting blacklisted from all the media when I came out and said America would lose the Afghan war. I used to be on Oprah, The Today Show, Good Morning America, CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, all the time. Fox, blacklisted. They hate the truth. They're prostitutes. They're media whores that get paid to put out by their corporate pimps and government whoremasters. Peace is prohibited. And again, if you want to read history before it happens, subscribe to the Trends Journal. The more subscribers we have, the more we can get out the word for truth, justice, and the American way. Thank you.